All right. So did you put your things in the dishwasher?
Having had things done for me in hospital, I did wonder how I was going to get coping with meals or just making pot of tea.
Well done, Margaret.
Margaret, who's 85, came out of hospital 6 weeks ago after suffering a slight stroke.
All right.
Really, my legs weren't at all my legs, but they were.
The retired physiotherapist lives in the London Borough of Sutton and was referred to the START programme, pioneered by the local authority.
START stands for Short-Term Assessment and Reablement Team, and that's exactly what we are. We provide a service up to 6 weeks or more, depending on the individual, for people who are coming out of hospital or to prevent them going into hospital following injury or illness, or people that have got long-term disabilities in the community that have decreased mobility and struggling to cope.
It's not the same as rehabilitation. It's not that you can necessarily get better with the condition that you have, but there's some real dignity and respect issues that come through reablement.
At some levels, reablement is a philosophy. It's about not trying to do things for people, but helping people to do things themselves. And there's an argument perhaps that in the past, home care services, for example, tend to come in, they tend to do things for people. They get them dressed, they prepare food for them, and it meets their immediate needs, but that's different from reablement, where reablement is there to help people to regain those life skills. So that is, I would say, the key distinction between a reablement home care service and a conventional home care service.
Yes. Can you open that? Let's see you open it. Sometimes they're a bit stiff, aren't they?
Sometimes, most not.
Reablement in Sutton is seen as an opportunity to assess a person's social care needs and also as an effective way of preventing injury or deterioration in a medical or physical condition.
Good. Oh, they're big, aren't they?
When Margaret was referred to START, carers were told she needed help with personal care and with taking her medication. She was assessed by Lynn Locke.
I first came to Margaret when she just came out of hospital, and I needed to assess her needs for equipment and how many calls that she needed. It may have needed an extra call being put in at lunchtime because she wasn't able to do her meals at lunchtime. And now she's really coping very well, and the way we got to that stage was we verbally encouraged her to do her own personal care and gave her that encouragement that she was lacking when she was in hospital, thinking that she wasn't going to be able to come home and do all this. You keep dropping these sticks.
Yes, that's why this is so useful. You can't drop the trolley.
All right.
Key features of an effective reablement scheme are the provision of specialist equipment and the requirement that assessments are done in a person's home environment.
It's a help to have something like the trolley to move.
Exactly, yeah. And you've got your bath master, haven't you, and your perching stool that you can sit on and now wash independently.
Well,
and
amazing. Don't have to think now, what am I to do?
Yeah, you just get on there and you just get up. She's a very different person now, full of more life, not down in the dumps like when I first saw Margaret. And she seems to be wanting her life back to how she was before.
To me, it's essential to have my own home. That's the great thing. To be able to be independent when you have always been.
Yeah.
It's expected that Margaret's condition will improve to a point where she requires few, if any, commissioned care hours after reablement. This outcome isn't unusual.
From an outcome perspective, we know that 30% of the people coming through the service don't require any ongoing care at all, so their hours are cut off at the end of the 6 weeks. And then another 30% have ongoing care. So we've developed a support plan with the person to meet their ongoing needs, and it's something like 42% of that ongoing care is on a reduced level to what it was in the beginning.
Can't say I could stand on my head or my heels, but I mean, it is such a help to feel independent.
Good.
And get about.
Good.
Sutton's reablement scheme is known as an intake model. In other words, it's inclusive and anyone in need of social care will be assessed.
For us, reablement isn't just about, moving everybody out of the system and being self-supporting and only focusing on people that have had a fracture or a break and are potentially going to get better. It's about everybody. Everybody has some degree of reablement potential.
Up we go. Hold on to there.
Sutton's START service means that some people get support who wouldn't qualify under a different type of reablement scheme. People like Rob and Anne.
Up we come.
What they do, they come and get her up in the morning, take her to the bathroom, toilet her, wash her, dress her, and bring her down here, and then I give her a breakfast. And in the evening, they come along and they do the reverse.
2 more steps. Well done.
In themselves, they might sound like two very simple tasks, which they probably are. But when it's on top of everything else that you're doing during the day, they sometimes become like a major obstacle.
Well done.
Rob's wife Anne has dementia. For several years, he's cared for her without any social care support.
Anne, would you like to brush your hair?
But the responsibility has worn him down.
I'm normally a pretty happy-go-lucky chap. And as this thing has progressed, I found, and this is a dreadful thing to say, I was beginning to resent what I was having to do.
Yeah? Yeah. Come on then. Show me how you brush your hair. How do you have it, down or back?
I have said to my closest friends, you must notice that I'm being really miserable at the moment. And that's not like me.
Brush your hair. Go back.
2 weeks into reablement, Rob has realised that he was doing too much for Anne.
Brush your hair today? That's it then. Brush your hair.
What the carers have been doing, they get her to do some of the things because they've probably got a little bit more time and a little bit more patience than I've been showing. But they have certainly helped her to try and do some of the things for herself. All right? Yeah? Yeah? Put it all in there. Push it through.
With this intervention, the need for Anne to go into residential care may be delayed, and the decline in Rob's mental health is being reversed.
I can honestly say, after the first 24 hours, I felt totally different because I hadn't had to do those 2 jobs that day. Now that they've been coming to us for a fortnight, people have said to me, you're back to your normal self. Okay? Mm-hmm. Want to carry on walking? Mm-hmm. Okay, come on in.
Sutton's experience of reablement echoes the findings of a national report which compared this type of scheme with more conventional services.
What we found was that people using reablement had better outcomes. So reablement was no more expensive but produced better outcomes, and on that basis we found that it was a cost-effective, or it had very high chance of being cost-effective.
Sutton Council has evaluated its START scheme to identify cost benefits and personal outcomes. Results show that reablement has proved to be good value for money.
In total, for that first 2 years operation, the cumulative savings should be £2 million. In terms of people, 400 additional people have been diverted out of the social care system altogether, so they've achieved full independence compared to the proportion that we would have expected from our control group. So it's a real significant difference for people.
In November last year, the government announced that it's making £1 billion available to local authorities to set up reablement schemes. It believes that such projects provide positive outcomes for people as well as saving money in the long term.